My name is Emma Carter. I am 24 years old, and I work in a marketing company in New York City. I live alone in a small apartment, and I like my quiet life. I believe in love, trust, and honesty. For me, a relationship should be simple and true. For 3 years, I trusted Jake Miller with all my heart. I thought he was the man I would spend my life with. But everything I believed in started to break the night I received that strange message. "You don't know the full truth." Those words stayed in my mind all night. I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Jake, about the girl in the cafe, and about the lies. My heart felt heavy, but something inside me had changed. I was not just hurt anymore, I wanted answers. I replied to the message and agreed to meet the sender the next evening at Westbridge Park. The next day, I reached the park early. The sky was dark, and the cold air made me feel even more nervous. I sat on a bench and watched every person walking by. My heart beat fast with every passing minute. Then I saw her. It was the same girl from the cafe. She walked slowly toward me, her face serious and calm. She stopped in front of me and said, "It was me. I sent the message." I stood up, confused and tense. I asked her why she wanted to meet me. She looked around carefully, as if she was afraid someone was watching us. Then she told me something that made my world shake. "Jake is not just a cheater," she said. "He is hiding something much bigger." I could not believe her words. I told her she was wrong, that I knew Jake very well. But she shook her head and showed me proof on her phone, photos, documents, and different identities. She explained that she was a freelance journalist investigating a scam, and Jake was one of the main people involved. She told me that Jake uses fake names and builds relationships with women to gain their trust. Then he steals their personal information and money. At first, I refused to believe it, but then I remembered something that made my body go cold. Jake had used my laptop many times. He knew my passwords. He had access to everything. With shaking hands, I checked my bank account on my phone. My heart stopped when I saw the balance. A large amount of money was missing. At that moment, the truth hit me hard. The man I loved had not only lied to me, he had used me. That night, instead of crying, I made a decision. I would not run from the truth anymore. With the help of the journalist, I made a plan. For the first time, I felt strong. I was ready to face Jake again, not as a victim, but as someone who wanted justice. The next day, I called Jake. I kept my voice soft and calm, just like before. I told him I missed him and wanted to meet. He sounded relieved and happy, as if nothing had happened. We agreed to meet at his apartment. When I entered his apartment, everything looked normal. He smiled at me and said he missed me. I forced myself to smile back, even though inside I felt nothing. We sat together, and he talked casually, pretending everything was fine. Then I asked if I could use his laptop. For a moment, his face changed, but then he agreed. As I opened the laptop, my hands felt cold, but my mind was clear. I searched carefully and found hidden folders. Inside them were fake IDs, photos of different women, and documents that proved everything the journalist had said. Then I saw a folder with my name on it. My heart pounded as I moved the cursor toward it, but before I could open it, I heard his voice behind me. Emma. I turned around slowly. His expression was completely different now. There was no warmth in his eyes, only cold anger. He told me to close the laptop, but this time, I did not listen. I stood up and looked straight at him. I told him no. He stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. He said I should not have done this. I replied that he should not have lied to me. The room felt tense and silent. My heart was beating fast, but I did not step back. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door. Jake froze. Another knock came, louder this time. "Open the door! Police!" His face turned pale. He looked at me with shock and anger and asked if I had set him up. I did not answer. I just looked at him calmly. The door broke open, and police officers rushed inside. Jake tried to run, but they caught him quickly. As they took him away, he looked at me one last time. There was no love in his eyes, only anger. He said I was just part of his plan. Days later, I sat alone in my apartment again. Everything looked the same, but I felt like a completely different person. I was no longer the girl who believed everything so easily. I was stronger now. The journalist visited me and told me that because of my help, many other victims would get justice. I nodded quietly. I did not feel proud, but I felt something else. Peace. After she left, I sat in silence and thought about everything. Love, trust, lies, and truth. I realized that sometimes the truth is painful, but it also sets you free. I picked up my phone and looked at the empty screen. There were no more lies, no more secrets, just silence. But this time, the silence did not hurt. It healed me. Because now I understand one thing clearly. Sometimes, the person who breaks your heart is not just a liar. They are a stranger you never really knew. And sometimes, the truth does not just hurt you. It changes you forever. Subscribe for more stories like this.